Hello, everyone. I am back today with Michael on the Kennedy script, and I think we ought to have like a little moment to just make sure that everyone that is about to embark on the journey of listening to our sessions come to notice that these sessions are for the more advanced student of the Bible, and they're not necessarily going to be popular. Don't expect to see these videos pop up all over the place. They're very rare, and I do appreciate Michael for taking the time to go into the vast number of researches it takes to come across this, well, shall we say, vital information. Welcome, Michael.
Yeah, welcome, dear Brett. Hello, dear listeners, and let's go into the session 50. We are seeing the end of the tunnel, so that means after that session, I estimate there were only 3 sessions or 2 sessions left. And then you have to draw your own conclusions. I think you have to start your own research, because we cannot do Kennedy forever and ever. But
yeah,
I think
there are limits, Michael.
Yeah, also we have to take into consideration that one of the major conspiracy theorists was that what JFK had been killed, or the reason that JFK had been killed, is his refusal against the Vietnam War. And so we have to take that into consideration. That won't be easy, and that won't be a nice, easy topic to go into. So this session is called Cardinal War. It is about the Roman Catholic Church in general, and on Francis Cardinal Spellman in particular. That's a picture of him. You see that a soldier of Christ usually means a spiritual soldier, but these people always got it wrong, and so they strive for power. And you know that proverb is about that all that hate me love death.
Oh, isn't that interesting you say that, Michael? I was just thinking about that a moment ago. You know, how much we have endured into this crisis that we have, and we don't even need to go into any details, because everybody knows what we're talking about. Because if we talk about it on this platform, we lose videos, we lose what can we say? Future social credit score or something. So, isn't it interesting how much information gets squashed and erased and dealt with, for standing up and being heretical to the common doctrine of today. So, yeah, Michael, they do love death. They want to see death, and they don't want to tell you about it, dear listener. They just want you to drone along and have no conscience whatsoever. They would rather fill you with their conscience so that you don't have to think for yourself. What kind of world is this, Michael? I don't know, but anyway, that's my little rant.
Pass the Lord and praise the ammunition. That's a comic here, which is the opposite of praise the Lord and pass the ammunition of an old patriotic song. But I think that depiction here is very fitting, because also the Vietnam War has been prominently mentioned, Spelly's War, so Spellman's War. So they wanted war at any cost. Yeah, so that is the introduction. So I would assume that we have been ruled by people in lodges who are in control of the script. The script in itself is coming from the Bible, and they are the rulers of evil. And so they have been putting these doctrines on the people so that they don't believe the God of the Bible, just believe the government, as Brett formerly mentioned. And so they're looking at from the bird's eye view, or just from the side, and they're just mocking about all the public, which you see in the Muppet Theater. They're just mocking the public, how stupid they are, that they don't see that it's all been scripted. Some people are smart. This is from pressreader.com from South Africa. This is an article of the background of the assassination, speaking of the Knights of Malta fall under the Jesuits. At the time of the Kennedy assassination, members of the Knights of Malta were in key positions of power in the United States governments, including the CIA, FBI. And what was the motive to assassinate Kennedy? He was disobedient. His speech in 1961, in which he criticized the secret societies, bears testimony to that fact. And so that, of course, he was disobedient, but not only to the Knights of Malta, but to the papacy itself. So that is my hypothesis for this session here. That is just disobedient. He's not obeying the beast. Yeah, he's not obeying the beast. And so therefore the beast in return says, everybody who's against me, is demanded to be killed. We will soon see where the original order is coming from. And this is much time ago. You see, Kennedy has been portrayed very badly as a kind of a hero. Especially he was coming from an extreme Roman Catholic papist family, and also the father of his mother, Rose Fitzgerald, was called Honey Fitz. And Honey Fitz had a reputation for graft and vote fraud, and he was removed from the House of Representatives after voting fraud was uncovered, says one website. If you go to the Wikipedia article, then you find another thing. You find here that investigators found evidence of fraud in 3 precincts. Yeah, and so that he had not won because they had found fraud in it. Yeah, so that is a family which wants to have power as well. So also from the side of the mother. And don't forget that his mother is a papist and his father was also a papist. If you go down to the votes and the election of Kennedy, it says that he just won by a margin of only 118,000 votes out of 69 million. Yeah, so he needed every vote of every Protestant voter, of every Catholic voter, of any whatsoever. But and now I had an idea which might sound strange, but if you really see that his mother was a countess of the Pope, or the Countess of the Papacy, she held a very special title in 1950, and his father was a Knight of Malta. Then whom do they serve? They serve the papacy. And then it would be naturally explained why his mother reacted that way when she realized and she saw and she knew that he was assassinated. Because it has been said, rumor has it, that she paced around and she put things in order and she said the rosary. But, and it's a big but, you see that maybe someone has declared that it was just an order from God, yeah, so to speak, because whom do these people serve other than the papacy, which declares himself as the vicar of Christ?
Yeah, right. That's logical, Michael. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in their belief system, the Pope was ranking higher than their own son as an American president.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and also his wife, Jacqueline Kennedy, which I assume that she was responsible for his death. She said in an article against columnist Arthur Crook that about her own husband, he's such a poor Catholic. Yeah, so Kennedy was not regarded for having a big faith in the papacy, and that sounds a little bit more that she was having an argument with him about his belief. And imagine when she said that against a columnist, then think what the reactions of JFK's parents were when they both also served the papacy directly. So I would think that Kennedy had no friends, also enemies, so to speak, in his own family and his own wife, because when it comes to belief, everybody was down to obey the Pope except John F. And of course, maybe Robert F. Yeah, but you know that both were assassinated. Although he said that he was not the Catholic candidate for president, you know that his speech was scripted, and that was not, there were not his own words, most likely, so to speak, that of course he was the Roman Catholic candidate. Otherwise, he would not have been made president in the United States of America. You don't believe me? You don't have to believe me. We would just falsify that in the very next minutes here in that session here. On the other hand, when Kennedy had been assassinated, then the Pope said in an official speech he was the first Catholic president of the United States. So that means that the papacy regarded John F. Kennedy as a Catholic president. You see the problem here? When the papacy said that Kennedy was the first Catholic president of the United States, they shine the light on his belief. But he, on his campaign, tries to shine the light to his presidency and politics away from religion. But that's not what the papacy did when he was assassinated. They clearly pointed out that he was the first Catholic president of the United States. So bang, they did not regard him as the upcomer, as a what else, as a peace-loving president. They regarded him as a Catholic president. Therefore, he had to obey the Pope. That, in other words, is an insult. That means a Catholic president has to obey the Pope. That is what the papacy actually says here in that sentence, according to my humble opinion. Don't know what your opinion about it is, Brett, but I got this opinion.
Oh, I agree, and wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So in that, from that day, 1 day later, 23rd of November, 1 day later, the papacy said also that he made a sacrifice. Yeah, so the first Catholic president. Well, isn't it interesting? So John F. Kennedy would have loved to visit the older Pope, which then in 1963 suddenly died after he got cancer, I think it was, and but that did not work out. And so once and for all, that you really see that we are a Protestant program, and we are not talking about entertainment or the latest music. That is just a picture of the Roman Catholic pontiff, or the Pope, or the Vicar of Christ, what he himself is claiming. And that is, of course, also with all the might and power and glory and gold and golden cups and all of this stuff here. That is not a church for the poor man, it seems. And that also would be a reference. I did not do that in English. Revelation 17. I'm sorry. That is the same which has been mentioned famously in Revelation chapter 17, verses 4 and 5, Brett.
Yes, and that reads, "And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can see that in context here, that also a woman stands for a church. Yeah, this woman also is arrayed with scarlet and purple. And then the next verse in that context would be a picture of the Pope together with the so-called kings of the European Union countries. For example, you see here the ex-German Chancellor Angela Merkel, and that would be then Revelation 17:2.
Yeah, and that reads, "With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication."
Mm. Yeah, and this woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and That's the pictures of the Roman Catholic Church. Yeah, and also the woman drunken with the blood of the saints. Yeah, so that is a church which is raging war. So let's find out. Yeah, the kings of the earth. This is the president of the European Union, and this is the president of the American United States, of the American Union of States. Both going to the Vatican. And you see here former United States presidents, Herbert Walker Bush, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton. Their admiration for the deceased Pope coming from Poland.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wasn't his name Watoya or something? I forget.
Karol Wojtyla, yeah. What does Jesus say about the burial of deceased ones in Matthew 8:22?
Yeah, it reads, and another of his disciples said unto him, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. But Jesus said unto him, follow me, and let the dead bury their dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you see that is admired here. Also, you see his remains in a church. I can't remember now what, but I don't want to show you some skeletons now. Yeah, that's not needed. Yeah, but in the Revelation 13:15, we realize that the image of the beast or the world government will then cause the following.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should enlarge it a bit so that it's more easy to read for you.
And, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that.
Okay, so this is the verse.
That's good.
Okay.
Revelation, is this chapter 13? No? What is it?
Is it 13 or is it 15?
It might be Revelation 13 verses 15 through 18, yeah. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, say he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Yeah, and so this number is the number of the title of Vicarius Filii Dei. Yeah, Christ said, behold, many will come in my name. And of course, all the popes have come in the name of Christ. I hope that I have quoted that correctly now. That is just realized that I have not incorporated it here in the text. Many will come in my name. Is it in English? Yeah, Mark 13:6. Yeah, that's, in my humble opinion, we talked about that earlier in the science session, I think it was. That's the title of the papacy. Mark 13:6. Saying, I'm Christ, and they shall deceive many. Yeah, so that is the biggest church on earth. And they have the title of Vicarius Filii Dei, or head. Yeah, so that is 666, and we are striving against or to a world government, of course, one world government with a one world religion. So I assume there is no place for the Roman Catholic Church then, because it will be maybe renamed. And think of the things that if the papacy would not exist anymore, so where do you protest against? So this 666 finger sign of Vicarius Filii Dei, we see that in the JFK movie of Oliver Stone. Yeah, when Mr. X asked here now Kevin Costner, who benefited? Yeah, so that is 666 benefited. Who had the power to cover it up? Who benefited? Yeah, that is the Roman Catholic Church, Vicarius Filii Dei, or the Antichrist. In the place of Christ. Yeah, many shall come and deceive you. and say, I am the Christ, so like the papacy. And then the camera switches. The next picture is just simply the Washington Monument, which is nothing more than the obelisk of Nimrod, or the obelisk of Osiris, the same obelisk you see in the Didi Plaza. And the same obelisk, not only Didi Plaza, but also in Rome, on the St. Peter Square, from both sides of the angle. You see, this is directly in front of the cathedral. And for the entire understanding, let's just incorporate here from the Didi Plaza the obelisk. Obelisk. So, but let's look it up. Yeah. Then you got the obelisk. Yeah. What a coincidence, huh? What a coincidence. In the JFK movie, in the Didi Plaza, in the Washington Monument, you got an obelisk. In Didi Plaza, you got an obelisk. And at the St. Peter Square, you got an obelisk. Even with the sign of Anu, and also a male organ, and also a sun clock, and yeah. So it directly points to Rome. If you compare the capital, Washington capital, with the St. Peter's, yeah, then it's quite obvious. So what did the Pope say one day after the assassination of Kennedy took place? A papal message. Yeah. The tragic news of the killing of the President of the United States of America, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, and the serious wounding of John Connally. Yeah, that is debatable. Yeah, we will soon go into this also. We pray to God that the sacrifice of John Kennedy may be made to favor the cause he promoted. Yeah, so what's their God? The God of this world, huh? If he is the Antichrist, then this is the anti-God. Yeah, so that is Satan. Okay. You can easily see that when it comes to the communion or the Eucharist. Because in Matthew 26:26, what did the Bible say about the Last Supper? Yeah. He says, I have to look it up here. It's just the one verse which says it all, Brett.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and break it.
And break it. Yeah, and so this is breaking bread. Or broken bread. Yeah, and so this is the bread that the papacy is presenting you. Yeah. This is a circular object, which could also depict the sun, but the circular object can only be made by machines or in older times with a square. With a circle. Sorry, with a circle.
Oh, compass.
This is a compass. Okay, yeah, this is with a compass. Yeah, so also compass, very interesting symbol of the Freemasonry. Yeah, yeah, but that is not a broken bread. See? Yeah, this is a sun symbol here, the circular object, like the Jesuits. Yeah, see, but so many deception on the Roman Catholic Church. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And he was not crucified by the Jews, by the way. He was crucified by the Romans. The Jews were the people who betrayed Jesus and his disciples, because they were the high priest and scribes and the elders in the council took place at the high priest Caiaphas.
But not only did the Jews reject Jesus, but the Jews rejected the gospel when they were confronted in the book of Acts. Mm-hmm. So it's a double whammy. It's a double whammy.
And St. Peter, that's the apostle where the Roman.
Let's not forget now that, by saying the Jews, we're meaning the system of Judaism, the religion itself. We're not speaking of the Jews, because individual Jews have the choice to do as they wish, as we do. It's no different than it's just a religious system, just like Catholicism or Protestantism. It's the same kind of principle. Either you're a part of it or you're not, right, Michael? Yeah, simple.
Yeah, and you see that the Roman Catholic Church puts its foundation on Saint Peter, and Saint Peter was the one who. So please help
on
me
this
out.
rock I will build my church. Is that the one you're thinking of, or what?
Yeah, and at the cockroaches.
Oh yeah, when the cock crow. Well, how does it go? When the cock crow,
Twice.
thrice you will deny me twice, or how is that?
You will
One or the other. I
deny
forget.
me thrice. Yes.
Yeah, right. When the cock crow twice, you will deny me thrice. Yeah.
We have to look it up, otherwise people will crucify us. Yeah, there you got it. Matthew 26. Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. Yeah. Well, that's the basement. That's the basement of the Roman Catholic Church with the sun symbol on Sunday, of course. Council of Laodicea. So there you got your 666. So 666 is also for the Vicar of Christ. And by no wonder, the official call center number of the city of Rome is 060606, the city that listens to you. Call Rome 060606. What a coincidence, And there are more coincidences even, yeah. You see the 666 also happens to be on the barcode, not saying that this is the image of the beast, because the image of the beast is worship. Yeah, but that's just, I think that's just a premonition for the things to come, that they control all the merchandise, which has been said in Revelation 17 and 18. The merchants of the earth has waxed rich. Yeah, with the barcode 666. And there's more to come. There's a cryptocurrency system using body activity data, so your body is working as a communicator by a special company, micro something, with the publication number of I can't read it, WO or so, 2020 060606. What a coincidence. Yeah, there it is. Using body activity data. Yeah, cryptocurrency system. Yeah, just pay with your arm. Yeah. What was it? Nobody is allowed to buy or sell unless he has the mark of the beast. And especially that will be worship. That will not be a chip or what else. That would be worship. You accept the word government system or the beast system, or you're out. You're a heretic then. So once again, he says, John Kennedy said, I'm not a Catholic candidate for president. But he was the Democratic candidate for president who happens also to be Catholic. So what Eric John points out is that Spellman was the mastermind after the assassination. But how to prove that? You can only look for the things for the Roman Catholic Church and Spellman, and how to prove that. You can only name some strange coincidences, but to prove it, wow, that's really a difficult task. And but you have to realize that this church is on war. In former times, it's called the Inquisition. Nowadays, you got an information war. Yeah, so you're not allowed to get access to very subtle or very important information. So can we look behind the curtain? Yeah, who's behind the assassination of Kennedy? And one who's popping up here is Cardinal Spellman. Who's sitting here, or who's standing here actually, because he's a bit small, yeah, who's standing here between the both candidates, being Kennedy and being Nixon? And he favored Nixon. Why? We will soon find out. Yeah. Many people also went down to the road of the Jesuits and the Roman Catholic Church, claiming that they were the masterminds behind the assassination. So I'm not the one who's coming up with some strange idea, but it's just all been said and done, actually. One of them being an American military officer from Herbert Charles Holdridge. Yeah, and he says here in the election of Kennedy becoming the president, he says there are too many Catholics in the country. And after the assassination, actually, he has sent also other letters. So this very letter, complicity of Lyndon B. Johnson in the murders of John F. Kennedy and Lee Harvey Oswald. And he's pointing the finger to the forces of the Vatican. Yeah. So we're not the only ones who are seeing the clerical masterminds behind this assassination of Kennedy. Yeah. Jesuitical double talk, undoubtedly written by a Jesuit. Yeah, he's so right in that. He's so right in that. Yeah, actually, Kennedy also had been educated in a Jesuitical way. What do you expect? What would you expect? So we are not the only ones. The researcher Daryl Eberhard, who is a dear friend of us, he was once doing a session together with us according to Assassinations Tell One Tale. And on this occasion, Brett has recorded this session and put it up on his BitChute channel, Truth to Set Us Free, because that content is not allowed here on that platform. And Daryl has done so much research and looked up so many books that I wanted to quote him here as well. You know, Daryl has a military background and a Secret Service background also, so he was very interested in finding out the real details in the background of the assassination. And he, of course, concluded that these are the same people behind the assassination of Kennedy who were behind the assassination of Lincoln, because both presidents did not serve the papacy, but were directly opposing the papacy. Yeah, and also these strange coincidences. Yeah, Lincoln in a Ford theater, then Oswald going to a theater, and Kennedy riding in a Lincoln, and thousands of 100 years apart, and thousands of strange coincidences here. But let's look it up what Daryl has to say about it. Yeah, he says you see the cruelty of the Roman Catholic Church, for example, in genocide against the Serb Orthodox Christians and Jews in fascist Croatia in the Second World War. Yeah, what I think that is totally not an item to talk or to discuss in the United States. What happened in Europe 80 years ago, nobody is that much interested in, I think. Yeah, but he's quoting also many interesting quotations and books here. Yeah, so there are big amount of people on the ranks of Knight of Columbus. That's a very powerful organization. And when it comes down to Thomas M. Harris, for example, Brigadier General in the Union Army during the Civil War, he wrote a book of Rome's responsibility of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Once again, Rome's responsibility for the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. In 1897, he says it would seem that the Jesuits had in mind from the beginning of the war. And he was just claiming out that the president had been mortally wounded by a Knight of the Golden Circle, John Wilkes Booth. And also John Surratt, who has planned this, what else to say, assassination, he later fled to the Vatican, where he was discovered. So it's clearly Rome behind the assassination of Lincoln. Yeah, so it's very easy to think about that Rome could be behind the assassination of Kennedy as well. On page 16 of the book of Daryl, which is a reprint, it's been quoted, "It was the Pope of Rome, and he alone of all the European potentates, that gave his recognition and his blessing to the Confederate government," so the opposition of Abraham Lincoln, yeah, in 1863, and he was being killed in 1865. Against Lincoln. Another author is Dave Hunt of the United States of America. He wrote a book called Roman Rights the Beast. And he says that the Constitution of the United States was condemned by the papacy because it separated church and state and prohibited the establishment of any religion as an official state religion by the government. Yeah? So it is, once again, it's the church above the state. Yeah? Condemned by the papacy. The Pope has thousands of Secret Service agents worldwide. They include Jesuits, the Knights of Columbus, Knights of Malta, Opus Dei, and others. They are second to none. The Vatican's intelligence service is second to none. It also includes the local parish priest and his confessional. Sure, these people know secrets. A certain John Wayne or J. Wayne Lawrence of the United States in 1855 has been quoted by Darrell. The book is called The Crisis or the Enemies of America en Masse in 1855. Dear listener, this is almost 170 years ago. In that very book, it has been stated that we recognize in the Roman Catholic priesthood and the Jesuit Brotherhood two distinct political organizations united in purpose and using religion as a mask for political purpose, as they always have done in all ages and countries. And I found a very interesting page in that very book. On page 13, this, said the Jesuit with a very smile, you suppose to be the system of your own country. The answer is, I do not suppose it, said the American, I know it. Now, said the Jesuit, listen to me a few moments and I will tell you what I know. Your president is elected by the conclave of cardinals at Rome, the same who elect the Pope. Your people nominate the candidates. Our confidential agents select from the number the one whom they believe to be the most favorable in the interest of the Church. His name with those of the other candidates is reported to the cardinals and the Pope. When their decision is announced to the confidential friends of the Pope and the cardinals in the United States, they send forth their orders through the priest, and the whole Roman Catholic vote is thrown for the candidate who is favored by the Church. He, of course, is always elected. Your parties are so equally divided on politics that this Roman Catholic vote, which is cast on purely religious considerations, is always sufficient to turn the scale. And remember, that book that Darrell here states, where I found that quote, is from 1855. And Lincoln was killed in 1865. And Kennedy was killed 108 years after that quote. So what is it that you shall be convinced that Trump and Biden and all the puppets are acting on their own when he says right in the open, we love the Catholic people, we love the Catholic religion? Why isn't he talking of the Buddhists, of the Hindus, of the Protestants, of the Native American tribes? No, he's talking about the Catholic people. We love the Catholic religion. That's what Donald Trump, and he's not your savior. Yeah, maybe he will be elected in 4 years, I don't know. And I don't care, because these are just all puppets. Yeah, this
2
is
years,
one of,
Michael.
Huh?
2 years.
2 years from now. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. He's just a puppet like all the other puppets. And he's a trump card of the Vatican.
Yeah, Michael, you know, I can't help but comment, you know, how absurd. You mean we're going to have Trump and Biden back on the ticket again for president?
It does not matter.
That's just absurd.
It does not matter.
It's kind of a joke. Yeah, it matters in the sense that everyone in the whole world can see how much of a joke the United States is. The political system here is completely corrupt. It's gone. And, you know, I think Europe is about the same.
Yeah.
We're toast as far as our governments are concerned.
The European Union is just an offspring of the American Union. You see, there's both unions of, and in Europe it's much more worse. You see that we are consisting here of a union consisting of different people, different cultures, different languages, where all in America the official language is English. Yeah, so Europe is not it's one continent, but they are not just one people. There are different people that you can't put in together, so that will create more mess, which is, of course, is one of the backgrounds of policy: divide and conquer. Yeah, yeah, putting people and doing artificial borders in Arabic countries, so that that will create new havoc, and that's on purpose. They create a crisis and they deliver the solution. Yeah, you see that it's Hegelian dialectic. Yeah. Yeah, problem, reaction, solution. And when Trump here says in the open, we love the Catholic people, we love the Catholic religion, imagine that if John F. Kennedy would have said that. He said, oh no, I'm not the Catholic candidate for president. And Trump says, oh, we love the Catholic people. We love the Catholic religion, and it goes on and on and on. He says, I will defend the rights of religious believers of every race, religion, color, and creed. Yeah, then I hope that...
yeah, Michael, I can't help but, comment again, because if anyone listening has not watched the Al Smith dinner in 2016 or 15, whatever it was, I think it was 15, right? Because it was the election, or was it 16? Yeah, 2016. I'm sorry. Of course, that was the year that the election was held, correct? So, yeah, go watch that. And, I think that may be the last Al Smith dinner we're ever going to have. But I might be wrong. But, I mean, could anyone be more obviously trying to swing the Catholics than Mr. Trump? I mean, he just seems like the biggest suck up we've ever seen in the history of the world in terms of trying to impress the Catholic vote. Of course, Hillary Clinton did a pretty good job too. So yeah, go check it out and watch the whole thing. Just absorb that all in, and if you can, just try and stomach through it. It's absolutely incredible what Trump said in that speech he made, and same with Hillary Clinton, both of them. I mean, it was just like, you got to be kidding me. You can't make this stuff up, Michael.
Yeah, he says, I will protect the Catholic Church. Oh, he said that of religious belief of every race. Okay, then I'm waiting for the comment of any United States president that he will also protect the Protestant Church. Yeah, but that's wishful thinking, huh?
Well, yeah, they want you to believe that the Protestant Church is hand in hand with the Catholic Church, which they've achieved. I mean, that's ecumenism, right? So
yeah, but on the other hand,
they've achieved their goal. Yeah.
Yeah, but on the other hand, God does not dwell in houses made of stone.
There
So,
you go. That's just it.
What's the purpose of churches anyway? Yeah. Yeah, so these rulers, actually, these are the kings of the world. Yeah, so this is Revelation 72.
Well,
the kings of the earth. So
that's exactly what the entire world needs to repent of, but I don't think it can, Michael, because we've drifted so far away from God now that, any mention of the King James Bible just becomes a joke in theological circles today. They don't take it serious at all.
Yeah, so you have to ask them the question, are you serving God or the mammon?
It's obvious. It's obvious, yeah.
So, Abraham Lincoln has been quoted in 50 Years in the Church of Rome by Charles Chiniquy, a former Roman Catholic priest who wrote the book 50 Years in the Church of Rome. He said, Abraham Lincoln himself, the American Civil War would have never been possible without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. We owe it to popery that we now see our land reddened with the blood of a noble son. So what shall convince me that it is different in the case of Kennedy? Yeah, so many people have written about it. Professor Morse from the Morse alphabet and all the stuff. Yeah. Lincoln himself said it.
Oh, Morse code, you mean, right, Michael?
Morse code, yeah. Sorry, yeah, Morse code, yes, absolutely correct. Sorry. Yeah. So Samuel Morse in the book Foreign Conspiracy Against a Conspiracy, a word that nowadays has been very infamous. Foreign Conspiracy Against the Liberties of the United States. Samuel Finley Breese Morse. He says, they are Jesuits, the society of men, after exerting their tyranny for upwards of 200 years, at length became so formidable to the word, threatening the entire subversion of all social order, that even the Pope, whose devoted subjects they are and must be by the woe of their society, was compelled to dissolve them. Yeah, so it's always the Jesuit. He says they are a secret society. Oh, what did JFK speak about secret societies? Shall we look it up? Shall we look it up? This is just an idea which is coming to my mind. JFK secret societies.
Sure.
Secret societies. So let's look it up. Maybe we should have a kit.
Yeah. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy.
Yeah, and he's even said here, historically opposed to secret societies, secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. Yeah, if that quote is correct, of course. You see that it's very dangerous to quote anything because sometimes it turns out that the quote has been made by somebody else and it's only been attributed to somebody. Yeah, so that is a very tricky thing to use quotations. But yeah, that's the very verse. The word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. Yeah, and then you got here the book of Samuel Morse just claiming especially that. So that is secret society, a sort of Masonic order with the super added features of revolting odiousness and 1,000 times more dangerous. They are not merely priests or priests of one religious creed. They are merchants and lawyers and editors and men of any profession. Yeah, these are soldiers, regimini militantis. Yeah. They are commanded by their general, so it is a military order, like the sovereign military order of Malta. So a general. Jesuit superior general, you see that the name and the rank tells it all. Yeah. So many people have talked about it. I was just quoting some of all the huge amount of books that Daryl has portrayed and has recommended us. For example, F. Tapasauci, Rulers of Evil. Yeah, this is the American one, Rulers of Evil. The Holy Alliance, 1992. Yeah, we will soon talk about that. Not in this session, though. Yeah. Who rules the world? Said or asks Daryl. Yeah. Who rules the world? Yeah. He says Jesuits are controlling all sides on nearly every issue, and their main target is to cause chaos. Out of chaos to bring in their desired goal. So you see that chaos is also very prominently item in the Freemasonry. Yeah. Yeah, and many people, yes, you see that Donald Trump also uses that hand sign. Yeah, so these people are being just controlled. Yeah, they're getting away with that. Of course, they're getting away with everything. So this is just the Jesuitical, theater. Yeah. So communism is also an invention of the Jesuits in Paraguay, in South Africa. In South America. Yeah. Yeah, it's Matthew D. Butler, who has revealed overthrow, assassination, or overthrow conspiracy against Roosevelt, who was also Freemason. Yeah, you have to believe it, but maybe that has been done on purpose. I don't know. But we don't have any Matthew D. Butler around here nowadays, it seems. Yeah, so we don't have much honest people. The higher these people are in a satanic hierarchy, what do we expect? What their mindset is? Yeah, the more evil and sinister they are. Yeah. Yeah, this is all coming from fascist regimes to take over states and to put them in a kind of a tyranny, in a military state. Yeah, you see that Adolf Hitler, the German so-called chancellor, or better words, German dictator, always was running around in a military uniform. Yeah, why? Because it was a fascist state. Also, the military-industrial complex speech from Dwight Eisenhower, the former US president, actually means religion. Yeah. So what shall be different in the case of Kennedy then? When it happened to Abraham Lincoln 100 years before Kennedy, almost to the day, or almost to the year. Yeah, Jesuits perfected communism with their reductions in Paraguay. which bore a close resemblance to Nazi labor camps. Yeah, sure, that's always the same. Yeah. So what do we expect from a state where the leaders of the state, this is Italy and this is Germany. So if people are accusing Germans of being a Nazi, which is extremely popular here in Germany, that every time you try to put out some interesting content about the Second World War, people will label you as a Nazi. Yeah. So you see that this is the former dictator of Italy, Benito Mussolini, the man who put the Lateran Treaty into power in 1929, who gave full sovereignty to the Vatican in 1929. So please expect the Vatican to have a big celebrate good times, come on, celebration in 2029, Brett.
Of course.
100 years
February, I think it's February 11, isn't it?
I have to look it up, actually. The Lateran Treaty. Lateran Treaty. Yeah, and Mussolini being called the man of Providence. Mm-hmm. Yes, 11th of February, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, 11th of February, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. No problem. Yeah, so back to the script. Yeah, you see that all these dictatorships from a fascist government, you see that people are accusing the Germans, but actually this development of erecting a fascist military dictator state was coming as a blueprint from Italy. But they don't tell you this. Yeah, everybody's good. I can be a Nazi. Yeah, I'm sorry for my voice now. But you see, this is so stupid. This is just an argumentum at personam, argument against a person, and had nothing to do with the item whatsoever. That is, when you're running out of arguments, you insult anybody of being or proclaim you be what else, a hypocrite, a transphobe person nowadays, very common, and Nazi and blah 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 blah. Yeah, you see that has nothing to do with truth nowadays. It's just opinion. Yeah, and almost insulting the actor. Yeah, so behind the dictators. Yeah, so behind the dictators, both have been installed by Rome. In the case of Mussolini, it's quite obvious that they have presented the public somebody who has then been made the Italian Republic, and they gave sovereignty to the Vatican State then. Oh, come on. Yeah, and then a few years later, after the Vatican Treaty, at the Lateran Treaty, 4 years later, they put an Austrian workless painter into the position of the German Führer, or the German leader, Adolf Hitler. Yeah, and we know that he has not written his books himself, and it's just actors. These are actors. Putting away the spotlight from the papacy to people who have been presented in the television, and former days, of course, not television, but in the radio broadcast and in the news letters and newspapers. Yeah, so they both have fascism. And why do you carry fascists in your American Senate, Brett? What kind of a deal?
Well, yeah. I think it's obvious.
It's obvious, yes. Yeah. General Butler, Smetty D. Butler, story of a fascist mass on Washington. Yeah, what we are from? Mm-hmm. Yeah, from Italy, because that is where fascism was been first presented to the public, according to my humble opinion, at least in the 20th century. Yeah, so let's move on further. Daryl asks, have we forgotten that during the Woodrow Wilson 2 terms presidency, just about every single key position in the federal government was held by a 4th-degree Knight of Columbus? Now, reference is Berth McCarthy's book, The Suppressed Truth About the Assassination of Abraham Lincoln. This is the left picture, which is very also interesting because in both assassinations, both Lincoln and Kennedy, his wife was sitting beside him. And here you see on the right side Ronald Reagan's speech in front of the Knight of Columbus. 100 years anniversary, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, you see, you don't get a government position or a highly ranked position if you're not a member of a secret societies. Yeah, you don't have to be a member of the Freemasons. You can also be a member of a Roman Catholic knighthood. Sure. So the Jesuit-controlled Papal Rome posed to America and her freedoms a threat. of course. These are just warnings from people who are being ignored then, because everybody is looking after the money and not after his faith or after morals, I don't know. F. Tapassausi wrote that book, Rulers of Evil, and you can really see what's what, actually. Jesuitical controlled papal Rome, yeah. That's the only outcome. So it's always conspiracies, and the church, papal Rome, is the biggest organization in the world. You see, there's a secret society, Brett, who's got more than 1 billion members paying for that. Can you imagine? At least maybe not all paying for that, but you see that they are running behind that because they have been presented a pope, a vicar of Christ, and all the stuff. Yeah, and that's sufficient for them, because religion does not mean anything for the majority of people. Not claiming that it is valid for all Roman Catholics, but the most people, their religious belief is just in the passport. But
rather in the priest, because they rely on the priesthood to absolve them of their sin. They don't recognize that they can go straight to God himself in prayer. They don't need a priest.
Yeah, they need always a mediator, yeah. But that's a real problem. You see that the power of the Roman Catholic Church, with all their money and belongings, you see there is no other organization known to me in the earth which could be a rival to the Roman Catholic Church when it comes down to money and power.
That's right.
And so we even don't need the quotation of E. Howard Hunt when he says, as a part and as an agent of the CIA, as the Foreign Secret Service of the United States of America, he says, in an admiring way, we've always said that the Jesuits have formed the greatest intelligence service in the world. And this will also be a part of one of the next sessions. But you see, they are admitting it in the open. It's not the CIA which is the biggest one, or the KGB, or the Mossad, or what else. It is the Jesuits. Yeah. So we should not be surprised when it comes down to a Roman poet, Marcus Tullius Cicero, who was an opponent of Caesar and was not officially being taken part in the conspiracy, but he witnessed the murder, and later he wrote a letter to his friend Titus Pomponius Atticus. He said, "This is the just end of a tyrant, which in Latin means sic semper tyrannis, which is been attributed to the murderer of Abraham Lincoln." After he shot Lincoln in the head, remember? What was the fatal shot of Kennedy? He was shot in the head. Sic semper tyrannis. Yeah. So why should an American guy say and yell something in Latin, Brett?
Well, I think that's obvious.
That's obvious. Because for the insider, that was also the proof that there was some state behind it with their official language is Latin. How hard can it be? It's always that the real truth is so simple, but according to our specials and experts and science, yeah, we have to rely on experts who are just keeping our attention, drawing our attention away from the real deal. Yeah. So this is John Wilkes Booth. Why John Wilkes Booth shot Abraham Lincoln? I have not read the book, but you see that sic semper tyrannis, it's a very known quotation. Even if it's not correct, yeah, even that quotation shows that there is an participation of somebody who's using a Latin language. And I suppose that the murderer of Abraham Lincoln was not a lover of Cicero, of an Italian poet, Roman poet. Yeah, so also the similarity between the killing of Lincoln and Kennedy is the absence of the Secret Service. So where is the Secret Service when it comes down to the protection in the lodge? Yeah, so it is not hard to protect the lodge. You just need somebody at the entrance. If somebody would have stood here at the entrance, Brett, the killing of Abraham Lincoln could not take place the way that it did.
Right.
And so who was
they were told to stand down, weren't they?
Yeah, and that is the similarity between Lincoln and Kennedy once again. In the moment when the president would have needed the Secret Service most, they were not doing anything.
That's right.
Yeah, and in both things, the Secret Service is connected to the Freemasons, and the origins of the Freemasons, of the Secret Service in general, is the Pinkerton Agency. We have talked about it, and their logo is "We Never Sleep." Yeah. But what did they do during the assassination of Kennedy, and what did they do during the assassination of Lincoln? Did they sleep, or did they just close their eyes, or their one eye? Yeah, you see, he's been surrounded by Freemasons.
Yeah.
This is the founder of the United States Secret Service, if you would like to say so. Secret Service being a runner-up to the Pinkerton Agency. This is Mr. Pinkerton. A criminal from the United Kingdom. Sometimes it's just, you can only shake your head. How simple it is if you really see that in both cases there was no protection for the president. And then he is shouting out the Latin quote. My. So the questions that JFK assassination researchers cannot answer, or the most of the questions, is they cannot answer why it is that nobody in and around the car can be seen ducking until after the fatal headshot. So if there were so many shots occurring in the Dealey Plaza, why were people not trying to cover, to get any cover, or to run away, or what else? You only see that after the fatal headshot, that people are running towards, of course, the Dealey Plaza grassy knoll. Also, many of the same people claim that the Secret Service driver, William Greer, slowed the limousine so that the snipers could get a good shot at the president. However, anybody with a brain should ask the question, if this were the case, wouldn't Greer have been concerned about being hit himself?
Yeah, good point.
And would there be a safer way to conduct the assassination? Furthermore, many of the same researchers say that LBJ had foreknowledge of the assassination, which he most definitely did. Remember this walkie-talkie use in the Elm Street, but they can't explain why LBJ would have his good friend and campaign manager John Connally in a car about to be ambushed. Finally, there's a question of why Jackie climbed on the back of the car. Yeah, the nonsense model, there was brain matter on the trunk, or she was trying to get away from Greer. But it seems to this researcher that sprawling out of the trunk would make her a better target if there were indeed snipers firing live rounds at the car. Remember that Kellerman said, oh, there was a flurry of shots coming in, but everybody missed Jacqueline Kennedy. How hard can it be? Interesting, none of these so-called researchers who love Jackie so much have ever mentioned a letter that she was having employment in the CIA in 1951. And of course, she was a good friend of Allen Dulles. So she was CIA.
Oh, never mind that she was cheating on her husband too.
Yeah. So that's
just like.
Yeah. So this is checkmate. You see that Jackie Kennedy is the key. Exhuming John Connally's body will also prove that Connally was never hit and that all the people inside the car were involved in the assassination, and that is the only logical outcome in it. Because you won't risk the life of a Texan governor. If it was an inside job, which it clearly was, then you won't risk the life of a high-ranking politician. And everything could get wrong, you see that. Somebody could be blinded by the light, somebody could yell, somebody could miss something in action. Yeah. So they had a stand down at the Secret Service, also in the case of Kennedy. Foreknowledge and a stand down, yes, absolutely. And John Connally was LBJ's good friend. You see the both of them. Yeah, both have a totally love for hats. Yeah, you see, he won't let his head go, even if he was officially shot in the hand. Yeah, you have. It's fairy tale country, really. Why would LBJ allow his body to be in the car about to be fired upon? Was the limo ambushed in the way most think? Was Connally actually hit? Researcher John Onesti does not think so, and I agree. I agree, yeah. Now, shouldn't Greer have been concerned about being hit himself? Yeah. So the shots here in the plaza were distraction shots, and JFK was killed as close range. Yeah. How was Lincoln killed, Brett?
close range.
At close range, yeah, you have to be certain, yeah, yeah, with a handgun, yeah. Also, he was not killed by a high-powered rifle, yeah. He was killed by a handgun. Whatever kind of ammunition they used, yeah, they most likely have used special ammunition also to create that effect. If that effect is not a CGI in itself, but we can't prove that, of course. Yeah, so these people, they know what went on. 3 amigos, yeah. And also there's a strange artifact here in that picture here. I always said that I can have a hard time believing that Mr. Zapruder, as a 33-degree Freemason afterwards and 32-degree Freemason at the time of the filming, was the only one holding a camera and then just a Mator camera. Maybe there's also something here on the inside of it, which is a camera built in. You see here's an object which is in many pictures, according to my research at the moment, is not visible. Yeah, but in that picture is an item visible here, and that would be a perfect place if Connelly leaned back at the fatal moment, a perfect place to install a camera here, so that you have a free view on the president who's just being killed by at least Jackie Kennedy, or maybe Kennedy and Greer together, and yeah, you see the things that you can't prove to the point 100%, but it's most likely Jackie which had at least one kill shot. Yeah. So that would be the perfect position of a camera here. That's what just my hypothesis. If I look to the travels that John F. Kennedy did during his presidency, I found a page of historystate.gov of all the trips that he made to foreign countries. So let's look it up. In 1961, then we got 1962, and these are the last ones. Germany, of course, 1963, then Ireland, 1963, and followed by United Kingdom. And I said, oh, that's interesting, yeah, because in Ireland, look, where is the Lincoln? Yeah, the Lincoln is not there. And this is another picture here with the Lincoln. In England, the Lincoln is there at the church Our Lady in the Forest in Sussex, yeah, shot at the 29th of June 1963. Yeah, you see a Lincoln with a roof on top, red, because yep. England is of course famous for it's raining again. Apart from that, you see that 29th of June is awfully close to the election of the new Pope, and awfully close to the visit of the American president to the new elected Pope, which turned out 2 days later that he met with the president of Italy and NATO officials, so military leaders, on July the 1st and the 2nd. Yeah, so 2 days later, he's been in Italy. Yeah. And then on July the 2nd, he's meeting the Pope Paul VI. Yeah, you see, these are pictures here from Italy. Yeah, where's the Lincoln? He's not there. These are pictures in Rome. Where's the Lincoln? He's not there. No Lincoln. So the last time, according to my small research here, that they used the Lincoln limousine was in England in June. I don't know if he had used that Lincoln after that, maybe for his own purposes, but as he not almost always used the Lincoln, I think they had pretty much time to equip the car with the latest technology. Yeah, so this is an item of interest for me here. But he was doomed from the beginning, because then when he said, as American president, I am not the Catholic president for, sorry, I am not the Catholic candidate for president, then he was doomed. Because there is a famous bull, a papal bull out of 1302. So that's more than 700 and some 20 years from now, earlier, from the Pope Bonifacius VIII, and it's the most famous papal bull of the Middle Ages. which then was a big discussion between the French king, King Philip IV, and the Pope. But finally, they both got together in forbidding and closing down the Templars, and at the execution of Jacques de Molay in 1314. And of course, it is just also about money, about the treasury. And the Pope says, okay, it's okay that we do an official council against the Templars, and it was being discussed on the Friday the 13th of October. Yeah, many people were then captivated by the officials on Friday the 13th, of course. Yeah, Freitag der 13. Means Friday the 13th. Yeah, that's one of the Friday history. Also, there is a rumor in some churches that Jesus Christ has been crucified on a Friday, and he wasn't. But that's that would need a Bible study to go into this. He was not crucified on the Friday, according to my research, my knowledge. So this is Unam Sanctam in German, and of course this is Unam Sanctam in English. Don't forget, it's 1302, and I just tell you, or just show you one chapter here. Certainly, whoever denies that the temporal sword is in the power of Peter misunderstands the word of the Lord, saying, "Put your sword into its sheath." Matthew 26:52. Therefore, both are in the power of the church, namely the spiritual sword and the material. But indeed, the latter is to be exercised on behalf of the church, and truly, the former is to be exercised by the church. The former is of the priest. The latter is by the hand of kings and soldiers, but at the will and sufferance of the priest. Yeah. So, in my explanation and what I do get out of it, Brett, is that the church is on top also of the state, of kings and soldiers. And what is the American president other than the king of the country? So that is a papal order of 1302, that the church is always on top of the state. And of course, the American Constitution has also been condemned in another papal bull. Yeah, so what do you expect when how the Pope sees himself compared to the American president? He sees himself as a vicar of Christ, as superior. So don't come to me with the quotation that Kennedy was the most powerful man on the earth. Yeah, he never was, and no man is except the Pope. A certain Saint Bernard in his book De Consideratione, so to be considered, writes, and both therefore are of the church, specifically both the spiritual sword and the material. The latter, that is the same. Sorry, that is in that book here. But in Romans 13, where they all rely heavily on that their authority comes from God and they are the church of God, based upon the foundations of Saint Peter, who visited Rome, but of course there is no biblical reference to that. They say, of course, they remain in power, and they owe the power according to Romans 31. But if you really consider Romans 13, then Romans 13, Brett, in my humble opinion, does not speak about the Roman Catholic Church, and does not speak about the Vicar of Christ, does not speak of Saint Peter. It is just the claim of the Roman Catholic Church that they are the Church of Jesus Christ, which they aren't. Yeah, so everybody can rely on a quotation of the Bible, but the Bible clearly speaks out that there is no proof that Peter went to Rome, and even more than that, it says that God does not live in. I'm sorry,
temples
I just need
made with hands. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for stepping in.
No problem.
Yeah. So also, what are higher powers? You would demand a Bible study about it, but of course they rely on that. They say that they are the vicars of Christ, and they aren't. Yeah, they are clearly the image of the 2 Thessalonians. Yeah, maybe that is better for a general understanding. I don't know
Sure.
if that verse is much prominent here. 2 Thessalonians, it is chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is verse 3 and 4, and that is clearly the papacy. Would you care to read it, Brett?
Sure. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a call of falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
Yeah, so that is just also a wrong explanation of things. Yeah, you see that many people, they really think that, or they are so naive, they think that everybody who's been in a higher position, they're speaking the truth, they have authority, and so many things are being explained incorrectly, like INRI. Many people think that is Jesus of Nazareth, Rex, or the kings of the Jewish. Yeah, but in the Bible, it's clearly depicted that there's no abbreviation used on that cross. Yeah, so that can't be. You can think of that any way you like it, but the most likely explanation about that abbreviation is it stands for Justum Neca Regis Impios, yeah, which means it is just to exterminate or annihilate impious or heretical kings, governments, or rulers. And now think about Sic Semper Tyrannis in the case of Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, both are using Latin abbreviations or Latin quotes. And who are the heretical kings? Yeah, in the case of the Jesuits or Rome, it is clearly Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. It is not Ronald Reagan or Joe Biden. Yeah? Because in the Bible, in John 19:19, the writing was Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews, not INRI or INRI. And that has been mentioned here in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. Why do you need the explanation that it has been written in 3 languages when they were using an abbreviation? Yeah, so they have, of course, been a big number of letters here on top in 3 languages. Yeah, the Bible does not speak of I and I. Yeah, so that's another deception here. Yeah, when we talked about here the fleeing of one of the accomplices of the assassination of Lincoln, Jörg and I were getting into the book of Griesinger, a German guy from the 19th century, about the trial of John Surratt, and also he has been hidden in the Vatican then, a papal zouaves. When he went to Rome and enlisted in the papal zouaves. Yeah, what a coincidence, huh? Yeah. And I did many sessions with Jörg together in German, and we were reading that book, The Jesuits, the entire history of open and secret power from then to now, so to speak, about the regicide, which is a murder of a king. Yeah, so they say that this is just to annihilate heretical kings. Yeah, the end justifies the means, and there we are at our Francis Cardinal Spellman. In the Liberty magazine, it's been stated that there's a war within. A priest approaches a weapon, blesses this, and then sprinkles holy water on it. He does so because the weapon will be used for Christ's war. The scene is not from the Middle Ages, but given the mindset of the priest, it might as well be. It's 1965. The weapon blessed is a B-52 bomber about to go on a mission. Jesuitical sending out of agents. Christ's war and the American effort in Vietnam. The priest is Cardinal Francis Spellman. And now you see that I talked to Daryl some weeks ago, and he says people underestimate the influence of Cardinal Spellman in the assassination of John F. Kennedy because he hated Kennedy. And why? There is some possible cause mentioned here in the New York Times. Spellman pushes efforts to widen school measure, calls Kennedy's bills unfair. Yeah. Kennedy did not want to promote the Roman Catholic Church when it comes down to state money to finance Catholic schools in the United States, and so they had a big argument about it, because Spellman demanded money from the state. Yeah. So it's also very interesting when you really see that he's a friend of the family also. But he was just officially he was promoting Nixon. But on the other hand, it is so interesting, the guy, it's unbelievable. Yeah, so you'll see that Jörg also told me that he did a session about American chief, so a Native American guy, who had once a trial against the Jesuits about the violation and the raping of children from the Jesuits, and they won that trial, and the Jesuit had to pay officially 166.1 million US dollars, if I remember correctly. But then afterwards, the Jesuitical school, or whoever was that party who was accused and he was condemned for that, they declared themselves bankrupt, Brett.
Really?
Yes. Really.
Aha.
I can tell you what it was because I saved the video today. I hope I will see that here. Yeah, this is the video here. Can be achieved sexual holocaust on Native Americans. Yeah, and that is about Jesuits. I cannot hope that the Jesuits will be here in. Yeah, sexual abuse trials of Jesuitical missions in Native American territory. Yeah, and one of them accused Cardinal Spellman of having affairs with boys, pedophiles. So. Yeah. The word religious shall be added to the military-industrial complex term, and then you know who's got to be power in this land. That's the article here. Even there are so misled people. They're writing books about Vietnam and Christianity. A Vietnam veteran's transformation from army soldier to a warrior of God. Yeah. So they have been indoctrinated by the Roman Catholic Church and by the presence of Cardinal Spellman in Vietnam. It's unbelievable. These people really do the things which has been stated in the Bible, and they will kill these people and will think they did God a service. It's really unbelievable, but this is our world. Yeah. So this Mr. Spellman, it's a very interesting name, Spellman. Yeah, and I thought instantly of, I put a spell on you, Spellman. He was such a powerful figure in American policy. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. But also I find very interesting was that when John F. Kennedy was running for president and was finally elected at the end of 1960, there was a song coming out from Ray Charles called "Hit the Road, Jack." Well, that might be just a mere coincidence, Brett. Yeah, because John F. Kennedy was named Jack by his friends. So that song was 2 weeks, #1 in the Billboard Hot 100 charts, and that is about, of course, about the relationship. "No, baby, listen," and blah blah blah. But I found that very interesting. So Spellman, on the other hand, wielded his considerable power, like McCarthy, in silencing critics by violating the right of a free press. So he was in a very comfortable and powerful position. Yeah. And so they claimed that they were the soldiers of Christ, or the onward Christian soldiers. Yeah, but I think that a good soldier of Jesus Christ has been seen as to be in the service of Jesus Christ. And you see, it would be a clear violation of the 6th commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." And Jesus Christ says that we shall love our enemies. So where is their point? Yeah. This is just pure indoctrination. Yeah. During the Second World War, Mr. Freemason, Franklin Delano Roosevelt handed over more power to Spellman as in the Allied countries their diplomats, because he was officially being announced as the vicar of the army, so the priest of the army, so the first among equals, or for the supreme head of the church for the army. Yeah, so people were bowing down in front of Spellman. Yeah, if you really want to know who are the most powerful figures of the world, of the war is, or the Second World War, don't underestimate Francis Cardinal Spellman, because he was indoctrinating the youth that they shall kill in, for his church, that they gain more power. And also he was close to FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, so no surprise there. And I found a very interesting article in a German newspaper, in Der Spiegel, Francis Cardinal Spellman. I will show that to you. This is very interesting to really realize, to see how big the influence was. This is coming from 1967 from the Spiegel, the German Mirror. I will do a translation for you. He was considered America's Pope. The popes of Rome treated the Archbishop of New York as an almost equal. Pius XII, who always ate alone, invited Francis Joseph Cardinal Spellman to his table. Of all those who wear purple in the Roman Catholic Church, only Cardinal Spellman, supreme prelate of the 46 million US Catholics, was able to reach Christ's vicars by telephone. And as the only cardinal, Spellman had a Roman pastor, Paul VI, as a guest at his residence. Spellman's congregation, like that of the Pope, was scattered all over the world. As a Catholic military vicar in the United States Armed Forces, he strengthened the souls of warriors between Wiesbaden, that's in Germany, and Vietnam. The bishop in battle dress became the religious chief of staff of the American century. Was able to reach Christ's vicars by telephone. So he had close ties to Rome. And he appointed that position as military vicar in 1939, so at the beginning of the Second World War. Yeah, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing again, huh? All that they hate me, love death, Brett.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the German priests also, they were waving their hands to the Roman salute, or the German salute then. And of course, all these people, Eugenio Pacelli here, the later Pope from 1939, he was former in Germany, in Munich. He was ambassador for the Vatican. He was papal nuncio, and he was signing the German Concordat with the Vatican. And among the people who were signing then were Franz von Papen, who was also military knight of Malta. Yeah, here you see that from September the 13th, so a few days after the start of the Second World War, sorry. Yeah, he was military vicar, and you see that what happening there is now happening here on the Ukraine, that people from the Orthodox Church are blessing weapons of destruction. All that they hate me, love death. He was a bishop of the Archdiocese of Boston, and was named a cardinal. And it's very interesting when we know that Kennedy was also born outside Boston in Brooklyn, Massachusetts. Yeah, he applied to become military chaplain in the army, but could not meet the height requirements, so he was very short. He was made the first American attaché of the Vatican Secretary of State in 1925, so even when the Vatican has no sovereignty. He also worked with the Knights of Columbus in running children's playground in Rome, and was raised to the rank of Privy Chamberlain on 1926. During a trip in Germany, he established a lifelong friendship with the Archbishop Eugenio Pacelli, who was signing the Concordat with Germany and later became in 1939 then Hitler's Pope. Pope Pius XII, if I remember correctly. And then he was auxiliary bishop of Boston. Yeah. So close ties to Pacelli, close ties to the papacy, close ties to Kennedy. Yeah. During the trip, the later Pope, then Cardinal, later Pope, met with Roosevelt to discuss diplomatic recognition of the sovereignty of the Vatican State. Spellman was present at the meeting, which he arranged to take place. Yeah, so he was been named the American Pope. My. And it's also a coincidence that they had a new Pope half a year before the Second World War, of course. Yeah, and Mr. Spellman hosted such prominent figures as the father of Mr. Kennedy himself, Joseph P. Kennedy, of course. Birds of a feather. Yeah, he was Sovereign Knight of Malta. You can go on and on, but people usually exclude the Roman Catholic view of all the things. He participated in 1958 papal conclave, which elected Pope John the 23rd. Sorry, he dismissed the vote and said that he's no pope. He should be selling bananas, and he served to a papal delegate in Guatemala. And yeah, you know that Guatemala has been mentioned by E. Howard Hunt then. Although Kennedy was a Catholic, Spellman supported Richard Nixon in the 1960 presidential election due to Kennedy's opposition to federal aid for parochial schools. Parochial. Oh, sorry, these
parochial.
Words are so, parochial. So sorry, these words are so uncommon.
Yes,
to me.
Right.
Right. Yeah, his support for Nixon ended a long partnership with Kennedy's father, Joseph Kennedy. Joseph P. Kennedy, sure. So Kennedy's aide, David Powers, you know, he was in the follow-up car of the Secret Service during the time of the assassination, recalled that in 1960, Kennedy asked him, "Why is Spellman against me?" To which he replied, "Spellman is the most powerful Catholic in the country. When you become president, you will be." So these two were rivals, and Spellman was in agony because Kennedy refused to give money from the state to his church. And which was the same church that John F. Kennedy was belonging to. So he saw his position in the government. He was very serious. I have to admit, sometimes I'm not in line that people used to see Kennedy as a hero or so. I think he was just making his own thing. But sometimes I must say that I'm quite astonished about the strict politics that Kennedy was having against the Vatican. And so that quote is coming from the book The American Pope, The Life and Times of Francis Cardinal Spellman. Spellman attended the Second Vatican Council from 1962 to 1965 and sat on his board of presidency. So don't believe for 1 minute that he's not a very influential guy in the Roman Catholic Church. Spellman, participating in the death of John the 23rd, participated in the conclave of 1963, which resulted in the election of Pope Paul VI, which is a pope which was in power as Kennedy was been killed. During the 1964 presidential election, Spellman supported Lyndon B. Johnson, whose Higher Education Facilities Act and Economic Opportunity Act had greatly benefited the church. Yeah, and of course he gave the money from the state to the church, Brett. Mm-hmm. Also, Jörg reminded me of the fact that years ago, it was Lyndon B. Johnson who created the 501c3 Act. So, of course, Lyndon B. Johnson was the one who the papacy wanted to have in power. 501c3 organization. Yeah, is a United States corporation, trust, unincorporated association, or other type of organization except from federal income taxes. And all the churches, or most of the churches, are nowadays 501c3 organization because it's about money. Yeah, and it was Lyndon, no? I think it was Lyndon. That's not been mentioned here, but Jörg was quite sure it was Lyndon. Yeah. Spellman was an outspoken supporter of the Vietnam War to the extent that the conflict became known as Spelly's War and the Cardinal as the Bob Hope of the clergy. Okay, you know who Bob Hope is? He's a knight. Yeah. Yeah. So much so for this time, or for the time being, but we are just close to half of the script. Oh my, oh my, oh my. John Cooney published a 1984 biography of Spellman entitled The American Pope. Before publication, he circulated galley proofs of the book, which included several pages, arguing that Spellman had been a homosexual based on multiple anonymous sources. The final published version removed this material, replacing it with 2 sentences. For years, rumors abundant that Cardinal Spellman being a homosexual. As a result, many felt and continue to feel that Spellman, the public moralist, may well have been a contradiction of the man of the flesh. That's the book, The American Pope. The journalist Michelangelo Signorile describes Spellman as one of the most notorious, powerful, and sexually voracious homosexuals in the American Catholic Church history. According to him, the Catholic Church pressured Corney's publisher Times Book to reduce the 4 pages discussing Spellman's sexuality to a single paragraph. Yeah, it's unbelievable. If you all read this, you see that we have been governed by Antichrist people everywhere. It's, I don't want to go into this. You see that it's typical for a church who forbids the original marriage of man and wife in the Bible. I can't recall a text in the Bible where it has been ordered for priests that they stay single. Yeah, Peter himself was married, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so it's very, yeah. But who reads the Bible anyway, Brett? Yeah.
Well, people that have faith in the Bible read the Bible, I would hope.
Yeah. Yeah, but these are minority. Huh?
Yeah, that's right.
So Vietnam, why did we go from Avro Manhattan? That is my first or my primary source on that. Vietnam, why did we go? The shocking story of the Catholic Church role in starting the Vietnam War. And in chapter 9, you see already the Pius, so the Pope, Spellman, Dulles' secret scheme. I will not quote much of that book because you can have that book for free on archive.org. But it's interesting that the amount of influence that Spellman has gotten, of course, due to this Pope in Rome, that it is a religious war, actually. It's about killing and demising and the Buddhists in the country. Yeah, that's it all about. Of course, all that they hate me, love death. Yeah, so if you want to serve Satan, then just you have to kill as many as you can. Yeah. So it's always a point here of Russia was promoted, headed by the Vatican, which sent a statue of Our Lady in Fatima with a message on a pilgrimage around the world. You see, they are a lover of images and idols, yeah, and also, Fatima cult was being used in the anti-Russian ideological war by the Pope and Cardinal Spellman and John Foster Dulles. Yeah, so the Dulles guys again. The statue of the Virgin was sent on a global pilgrimage to the capitals of the world to rouse religious fervor. Yeah. Cardinal Spellman, the author writes, was so identified with the Vietnam War that after he came out in the open prior to years of hidden promotional activities, he became the popular epitome of the war itself, and this to such an extent that the Vietnam War eventually was labeled the Spellman War. Yeah, that's not a compliment, huh? All that they hate me, love death. Spellman was a personal friend of Pius XII and also of the 2 Dulles brothers. Here is the alarm bell, Brett. Although his relationship with them has been purposely minimized, he acted as a very confidential intermediary between the State Department and the CIA and the Vatican. And there you go, with the state and church separation. My, huh? And now it comes the real stunner here on page 160. The most successful recruiter of them all was a master builder of political intrigues, Cardinal Spellman of New York, whom we have already encountered. Spellman was a personal friend of Pius XII and also of the 2 Dulles brothers, although his relationship with them has been purposely minimized. He acted as a very confidential intermediary between the State Department, the CIA, and the Vatican. And now comes the new paragraph. The Dulles brothers sent Spellman to the Vatican to conduct the most delicate negotiations and often used him to dispatch very personal communications directly and inclusively to the Pope himself. On more than one occasion, in fact, it was reported that Spellman was charged with strictly oral communication with the Pope to avoid any written or telephonic devices. And now, as you know, that Kennedy had been fired, Dulles, from the CIA in 1961. Then you read that verse in context once again, or that paragraph. The Dulles brothers sent Spellman to the Vatican to conduct the most delicate negotiations. It was reported that Spellman was charged with strictly oral communication with the Pope. So guess what problems the Dulles brothers had with Kennedy had then been discussed to Spellman and then been put on forth to the Pope directly, and only oral communication. So you can't find any letter, any order, any whatsoever. But if you really look close behind the curtain on the JFK assassination, this is one of the main paragraphs that you should keep in mind, Brett. Strictly oral communication. So you won't find any document which says, okay, get rid of Kennedy. And it's not needed. Yeah, because really, if you doubt that, you doubt the Bible. Yeah, because the Bible says that all power is coming from the beast, and if somebody does not obey, then unam sanctam takes place. Yeah, so that the priest is ordering the kings and the soldiers. Yeah, remember, the priest is ordering the kings and the soldiers. His power of persuasion on behalf of their joint policies became almost irresistible in the most influential circles of the States. These included diplomatic, financial, and political ones, as well as the mass media. Because of this broad influence, Spellman acted very much like an American pope. Indeed, his archdiocese was nicknamed the Little Vatican of New York. To add weight to his sponsorship of the United States intervention in Vietnam, Spellman eventually was nominated Vicar of the American Armed Forces and became a frequent visitor, carried in the United States military jet on the Vietnamese battlefields. When not inspecting the American soldiers, whom he called the soldiers of Christ, he moved in a political milieu in his role of an American ecclesiastic diplomat and official ambassador. My. The hopes of Cardinal Spellman were partially and briefly revived. His dream that a Catholic president would help to consolidate the Catholic presidency of Vietnam soon came to nothing. While Kennedy played a waiting game about what to do with the Catholic president counterpart in Vietnam, the latter had started to irk American public opinion with his repressive anti-Buddhist operations. Kennedy, while succumbing to the Catholic lobby of the United States and to the arguments of Spellman, resisted their pressure to put all the weight of America behind the Catholic regime of Diem. The latter had not only alienated public opinion in Vietnam and created enmity with the Buddhist population, he had alienated also public opinion in America to a degree seldom experienced even there. The Buddhist monks' suicide by fire had been too macabre and horrifying not to adversely influence United States public opinion against Catholic Diem. Catholic was too astute a politician to risk compromising his future career to support the religious idiosyncrasies of a fellow Catholic president and the silence of the Vatican. Ruthless politician that he was, he put his political career at home first, and the equivocal policies of his church embodied by Diem second. Kennedy's attitude chagrined Spellman, even though Kennedy, as a palliative to the Cardinal, ordered 16,000 American troops into Vietnam, the first fateful step by the United States into the Vietnam military bloc. The expedition assuaged the most vocal sections of the Catholic lobby in the United States, who saw it as a move in the right direction. Yeah, Kennedy pressed Pope John through Cardinal Spellman to try to restrain Diem. There was no apparent result. Kennedy took a drastic step and changed US ambassador to Vietnam, etc., etc. You see, that is all about religion here, and you can read that book. It is very interesting that you really see that it's just a religious war. Buddhist monks, Buddhist nuns, And Buddhist leaders were arrested by the thousands. Pagodas were closed and besieged, so these are their temples. Buddhists were tortured by the police. One day another monk burned himself alive in public to draw. And now we have a very delicate picture here. That's a Vietnamese Buddhist monk who burned himself in June 1963, so 5 months before the assassination of Kennedy. The journalist's photograph of this monk during his self-immolation won the 1963 World Press Photo of the Year Brett. That's the world that we are living in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's the same thing with the girl, the naked girl, the naked child running with the burnt back with napalm a few years later. Yeah, so these are their World Press photos. So these all that they hate me, love, death. Yeah. So peace be with you. What Jesus Christ did say is, I did not come to bring peace. I did come to bring the sword. Huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so everybody who talks about peace in this wicked world is just not on the side of Jesus Christ. Hmm? All that they hate me, love, death, bread. Oh. The secret police packed the jails with more monks. A third monk committed suicide by fire than another. Within a brief period, 7 had burned themselves alive in public. Vietnam was put under martial law. More Buddhists, monks, and nuns were arrested and taken away in Norris, including a large number of wounded. May I recall that the leader of the country was a Catholic? So that is Catholic policy against Buddhists. 10,000 Buddhists took part in the hunger strike and blocked Saigon, while a giant gong tolled from the tower and the main Tsa Loi pagoda in protest against the persecutions. Yeah, is that not an Inquisition? Is that not like the River Seine has been filled with red with blood when it comes down to the persecuted Huguenots in France, Brent? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is all persecution of the Roman Catholic Church here. Yeah, and they did not do anything about it. It's disgusting, but I can't help it. You see, this is the Vietnam War. And this is a young woman holding a pistol here, or a revolver, actually. Yeah, this is Madame Hu, wife of the head of the secret police, so of the brother, I think it was, of the reigning president of Vietnam then. Yeah. Yeah, and her first call was upon Cardinal Spellman, the principal sponsor of the DM regime. Yeah, so it's not hard to investigate who's who. Yeah, and even on Wikipedia, they tell you that Madame New, yeah, was a Catholic convert from Buddhism, and she said about the burning monks, she said, quotation, she would clap her hands at seeing another monk barbecue show, unquote. That's the quote of a Catholic convert. It says Wikipedia. It's nothing else. It's just Wikipedia. My, what a word. And now she can be seen here together with Lyndon B. Johnson. Yeah, birds of a feather flock together. All these people love death. Because that's what they have been paid for, obviously. So I've been quoted, Ever Manhattan, Vietnam, Why Did We Go? Because that author has made a tremendous amount of interesting books, like the Vatican Holocaust. Yeah, so that is another persecution here, or the Vatican, Moscow, Washington alliance. And he's written much more books. And if you think that, oh yeah, but so what, everybody can write books or make videos, that's Avro Manhattan. Avro Manhattan is not the regular guy or researcher. He is a baron. And on his gravestone, we read, he was a Knight Commander of the Crown of Savoy, a Grand Cross of the Order of Mercedes, a Knight Commander of Justice Malta, and a Commander Grand Cross of Bethlehem. So I don't know why he was allowed to put all that onto paper, but that gives much credit to his writings, I guess. Yeah, and that Knight Commander of Justice is one of the professed knights, a form of the first of 3 classes of members of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. So, Brett, I think that he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also compare the flag of the Sovereign Military Knight of Malta to the flag of Switzerland and to the flag of Denmark. And that Sovereign Military Order of Malta venerates the Virgin Mary as his patroness under the title of Our Lady of Philamus. So they are absolutely according in line of Fatima's second prophecy, make Russia Catholic again, and of course of the Mary worship of the popes. Yeah, so this is a list of books he made: Latin America and the Vatican and World Politics. Very interesting book. The Dollar and the Vatican, Terror over Yugoslavia, Catholic Terror Today, Religious Terror in Ireland, the Vatican Billions, Vietnam, Why Did We Go, the Dollar and the Vatican, and so forth, and so forth. Yeah, and you see
I was
that.
going to say, Michael,
yeah,
when you had all those flags up, how about the flag of Norway? Oh, it's got a blue cross. It's not a white one, so it doesn't qualify. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry that I did not.
No. I'm just joking. You know, there's so many flags that are almost identical. All the Scandinavian flags are all like that, but they're not red and white, are they? Except for what? Wait, one of them is. Is it Finland or what? Let's see.
Finland also has got a cross, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I mean, you know, isn't it funny? Isn't it is that somehow the bishops come up with the flags, or what's the deal with that? I wonder. Anyway, it's the flag of Denmark that has the red cross, or the white cross with the
white cross on the red background. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. Okay.
So here in that book of Alfred Hatton, it speaks that Kennedy had to choose between supporting his church effort or promoting his own political career. He chose to pressure Diem, so the Catholic leader of Vietnam, to let up his own persecutions. Diem's Buddhist general seized the opportunity to assassinate Diem. 3 weeks later, Kennedy himself fell to an assassin's bullet. On page 128, the author, remember, a Soviet military knight of many orders, he says, John F. Kennedy was himself assassinated in Dallas, Texas. Why and by whom has remained a secret ever since. So even he does not dare to talk about it, it seems, Brett.
Sure.
Don't tell me that he does not know. But he knows so much and is writing so much books, yeah, even that is not touching that subject. Yeah.
Well, and that's obvious because he can't touch that subject. Because if he did,
yeah,
he'd be in really big trouble.
Yes, we are. Yeah. Here you see the tarot card number 19 in Roman numerals for the sun. Huh? You know that the Roman Catholic Church is a sun worship. You have sunflowers in the back. Yeah. Okay, this is the symbol of the Jesuits. A sun symbol, a sun religion, or the sun god. Yeah, putting the creation on top of the creator. And this is Paul Hardcastle, a talented synthesizer player, which had a world hit with 19. Yeah, because he says that the average age of the combat soldier in Vietnam was 19. That's a blatant lie. Yeah, that's a blatant lie. That's why I told many people in German that you see that 19 has an occult meaning of the sun or the sun religion itself, and that's why they in Celsius, Switzerland is thinking about just only allowing to achieve 19 degrees Celsius in public buildings. Yeah, so 19, not 20, 19. Yeah, and so 19 you got that the symbol as the sun, and 19 as the tarot card 19, and you got here a crown around, and the Latin name of the crown is Corona, and the occult number of the sun is 19, and then you can start your own research. 19. In Vietnam, in Vietnam, the average age of the combat soldier was 19. No, 19. What a coincidence, Brett. 19. Yeah. And so they really see the Bible, here the Holy Bible, as the enemy. Yeah, the truth. They have to shut us down. They have to forbid us to speak. They have to censor everything because this is the truth.
Isn't that ironic? The Sunday Times magazine. Oh, yes. Roman Sunday.
Yeah, and you see all that they hate me, love death.
Yeah.
It's destruction here. Yeah, so you see that they can even influence the weather since at least 1951, at least officially. Yeah, so it was been said that the average age, we have talked about that in our science series, it was been thought that the average age of the combat soldier was 26. In Vietnam it was 19, and that is not correct. But even that, with 19 and death on his side and many disgusting pictures, Paul Hardcastle achieved a world hit. Of course, all that they hate me, love death. 19, the number of the sun. Yes, and they were spraying Agent Orange there. Onto their own people sometimes. Agent Orange, orange being the color of fire, orange being the color of the 33 degree of Freemason. Oh yeah, Agent Orange. Don't go into this now. Yeah, so 100,000 children are disabled about that. It's so disgusting. What to expect from a country bearing so much pentagrams, Brett?
That's right.
Yeah, so you see here Cardinal Spellman within people in Christmas, which is Roman Saturnalia, 1951. Yeah. And no wonder that the papal Countess Rose Fitzgerald, so the mother of Kennedy, John F., was a friend of Cardinal Spellman. Rose Kennedy poses with the Archbishop of London, Cardinal Francis Spellman. So I guess that even within his own family, John F. Kennedy had no support. Yeah. Yeah, so it's when people do not want to see the truth, they don't want to see the truth. They just don't want to see the truth. He was the most powerful Catholic in the country then. Of course, he had close ties to the Dulles brothers. He had close ties to the Kennedy family. Yeah, and John F. was not obeying. He just was not handing over money from the state to the church, and he was not obeying the Pope. So, yeah, of course, that's the outcome was in Dallas. Yeah, you can do 500 sessions of Kennedy, but you really have to see that is no coincidence here. Or if it is Cardinal Cushing of Boston, or Cardinal Spellman of New York, or Cardinal McIntyre of Los Angeles. Yeah, so nobody of them serving the Pope would have accepted an American president ruling over the Pope. Unam sanctam, yeah, that's what the bull that I've quoted also. Yeah. Where would you like to start? Yeah, you see that you got American Pope, so to speak, a military vicar. You got the Jesuits as the Regimini Militantis Ecclesia. It's all military. You got the military Knights of Malta. So where should I start? You see, if you don't want to see it, you don't want to see it. It's your choice. It's your decision. Yeah. Shut the door and watch television and watch MTV, but it's not the truth. This is the truth. Or it's close to the truth. The truth we will never reveal. You see, that's up to the Lord. But yeah, and maybe Francis Spellman had ambitions to be the next Pope. Jörg Lissmann does heavily doubt that because he has read some arguments that he says I can achieve much more in America when I'm in America, but who knows? Yeah, who knows? There it is. Yeah. And in 1962, so about 1 year before the assassination, Cardinal Montini, later Pope Paul VI, met with Jackie Kennedy. Why and where? Yeah, because Jackie Kennedy went to the Vatican, Brett, alone.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm? Yeah, Secret Service knew that they had code names for Jackie and Jack, and Jackie's code name was Lace, and his code name was Lancer. So that could also be something to do with, you see, military. Yeah, so even in Secret Service terms, Kennedy had a military code name. Isn't that something? And they always had their people, their informants, like Reverend John J. Kavanaugh. Yeah, he served as a private secretary to Henry Ford, and later on he served to Jackie Kennedy. On the next day after the assassination, 20 hours after Jack was shot, he asked to hear her confession. And she replied, "Confession? What am I supposed to confess, Father?" Well, you find the truth, not in this world. Jacqueline said that John was a poor Catholic. And this Reverend Kavanaugh, you see, he was in a formal chaplain to the Joseph F. P. Kennedy family. So he knew what Kennedy, most likely what Kennedy was up to. A spiritual and secular advisor to the Kennedys. A personal priest of the Kennedy family and a good friend of Kennedy's father, etc. Father John's advice to the Kennedy family included thoughts of the handing of materials censored by the Vatican. Father John, Father. Shall no man call your father, except there is one Father which is in heaven, huh? So you see that you have tons of material where you can start your own research. You can't prove that. Yeah, you see, with that video here in mind.
Yeah, you're right. Wasn't it John the 23rd?
That was during the time of the election, and then afterwards it was Pope Paul VI. I think it was. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So here you got the video. I hope it will work out fine. No, you got the video here. Zack, zack. Yeah, of Jackie Kennedy visiting the Vatican alone in 1962. And of course, she was visiting the Pope, but among these clerical people, there was also Cardinal Montini, who was then Pope when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and was the Pope where John F. Kennedy did not obey because he did not kneel down to the Pope. And that Cardinal she met in 1962. So the Vatican knew what was going on, I suppose. Yeah, all the images and idols. You see, the entire Kennedy family was Roman Catholic papist. Yeah, this is so-called good Pope, John Paul XXIII, Brett. But yeah, he was not in charge then. He died in June 1963. Yeah. What I'm going to point out is that this is the wife of an American president visiting the papacy alone. Interesting, huh? Our John F. did not have any time. He's so busy. Yeah, of course, she's kneeling down to the Pope. And that's something, Brett, that John F. Kennedy did not.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. And what does she tell? What did she tell then? Yeah, he's such a poor Catholic. Yeah, and so just I realize it in this very moment here. If we just do a comparison here at the behavior of Jacqueline Kennedy, who accused her own husband of being not Catholic. There you go. This is a comparison to Kennedy. He's just sitting beside the Pope, and you see the difference here in height. Yeah, he's in full robe, and he's got a small chair. He's got a big throne, so to speak. And yeah, Kennedy did his own. This is July the 2nd. So his wife visited the Vatican in the middle of 1962. Yeah. And behind him, you see the Jesuitical general. Yeah, you see, he nodded, yeah, but he did not kneel down for the Pope. He did not kiss the ring. Yeah. Ah, but his wife did, Brad.
Yes. Yes, she did really quick.
She did really quick, but now you see in my script here, yeah, the accusation that John F. Kennedy was too young, too Catholic, but Jackie told columnist Arthur Crook he's such a poor Catholic, he did not bow down. Yeah? That in a nutshell. That in a nutshell. Yeah.
Nor did he kiss the ring.
Nor did he kiss the ring. He did not accept the papal supremacy.
That's right.
So he was disobedient. Another one who was disobedient was the Christ democratic politician called Aldo Moro of Italy, who was been captured by the Red Brigades and then been murdered officially. And he was being accused of the former foreign minister of the United States, Mr. Henry Kissinger, who is, I think is a German Jew, if I remember correctly. He says that he was the Allende of Italy. Well, Allende being the prime minister or the head of the state in Chile, once again in South America. And the wife of the politician Aldo Moro, Eleonora, said later that her husband has been threatened during an official visit in Washington massively, with massive consequences if he does not stop his coordination and co-working with the communists. He will have to pay. And a high-ranking official says, according to the murderer of John F. Kennedy, he says that there will be a new Jacqueline in the future of Italy. So that means that Aldo Moro will be murdered, assassinated. Aldo Moro took that so serious that he started a testament after he went back to Rome. It's unbelievable. So that really you see that the Americans and the CIA is always behind this. Yeah, Kissinger said that Aldo Moro is the Allende Italian, that he's more dangerous than Castro, and this is Salvador Guillermo Allende Gossens. He was been murdered, Brett, at the 11th of September the 11th in 1973 in Santiago de Chile. Officially, he has been suicided. Oh, he did take his life officially. Yeah, the 11th of September. That's a German comedian who says, "Oh yeah, that's in a collective mind of the people, the 11th of September," but nobody talks about 9/11 on 1973. Everybody talks about 9/11 in 2001. Yeah. And so these are the people behind the scene, Brzezinski, the Grand Chessboard, and they all were then been mentioned in that article. Jacqueline Kennedy been seen as starting a suicide attempt, but everything can be taken into consideration or not. The Secret Service agent Jack Walsh, who was being officially keeping busy of the protection of Jackie Kennedy's child. You can see it also otherwise, that they were just looking over the child and the family, so that Jackie Kennedy would not reveal anything. You can only see it that way. But my point in mentioning Aldo Moro, and also this Secret Service guy was been then making the protection of Pope John. But sorry if it looks a bit confused now. Oh, sorry, this is almost to the end. But why I have mentioned Aldo Moro? Well, Daryl told us that he can recall mentioning in some book, he can't recall which book, that Kissinger was going to travel to meet Aldo Moro, the Italian politician that was threatened in Washington, and he showed him an enhancement of a picture of JFK's head wound and said that if he does not alter his policy, that's what happens, so to speak. Now you see here Cardinal Spellman at the funeral of John F. Kennedy, praying for John F. Kennedy. So you have to believe that that is 3 days after the assassination took place, during the official procedure. Yeah, so that is Cardinal Spellman. You can talk about everything, but JFK was a political puppet, and when he was not obeying his masters, you know, the sign of Anno here in the background is a Jesuitical chapel. The Jesuits order St. Francis Xavier Church at Hyannis. Yeah, St. Francis Xavier, the successor at the general of the Jesuits after Loyola. So the second general. Yeah, you got all your best friends here, Clint Hill. Yeah, you see, he was Jesuitically trained, but he did not obey his masters. I don't know where to start and don't know where to go from that. You see, we can do hours and hours and hours. If you really exclude the Catholic Church, you won't understand that assassination. John F. Kennedy turned on the temporal power of Rome's papal Caesar by refusing to enforce the Pope's claim to rule all the governments of the world. Yeah, that's unam sanctam. 1302. And nothing has changed, Brett. Nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
He sought to end Cardinal Spellman's war in Vietnam. He was printing his United States notes, so they had different reasons to take him out. See, I think he started to look behind the scenes or looked behind the curtain, and then he said, "No, I won't follow that. I want my own American religion or my own American policy." Yeah. You see, you can write books about that, but you have basically relied to a symbolism. They got also the symbolism of the age here, of the symbolism of Saturn, which is Satan, and it's clear that you have a militant organization that has nothing to do with the teachings of Christ. It's quite easy. It's so easy. It's so easy. You don't need any book. You just have to judge them by the fruits. Yeah. So this is the accusation of Eric John, and I don't know if I should incorporate it there. Yeah, but it was Spellman's war, and it was not Spellman's war alone, but of course who participated and who benefited was all the politicians who came into power after the killing of Kennedy, and of course all people, oil magnates, industrial people in Dallas. Yeah, because JFK wanted to end the Vietnam War. He wanted to end the Cold War, actually, together with Khrushchev, it seems. Yeah, and Khrushchev was taken out politically in 1964. Yeah, and Jackie Kennedy also was CIA. Where to start? Where to start? Yeah, Allen Dulles. Yeah, John Foster Dulles, Jesuit, all the Jesuits, yeah, being ruled by Jesuits, and John F. Kennedy did not obey his master, so that's why he was taken out. Yeah. Also, the brother of Allen Dulles, who was been dismissed by Kennedy, he was a cardinal, and he was been giving the sacrament of being a priest through Cardinal Spellman. Yeah, and you see that disobedience is really the cause of the killing of Kennedy. So state an example to all the politicians, rulers, kings, and leaders of the world. And this world is not free. This is the Pope Paul VI, Montini, which had a talk or met Jacqueline Kennedy 1 year before the assassination. And this is Jean-Claude Janssens, the superior general of the Jesuits. Yeah. JFK did not stand any chance. He had not even the support of his wife, nor of his family, it seems. And what would you like to change the world? We can change if you got only a younger brother and some people who are trying to make war with the beast system. Yeah. So that would be my close comments on that, that you really see that there is the Vietnam War is a cause of the Kennedy killing, but it's not the cause, it's one of many causes, and it's just that the disobedience of Kennedy, which had to be corrected then, had to be seen as an example. Thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to the next sessions, which will deal about the last subject of the conspiracy series. And this will be, I think, 2 sessions of the magic bullet, the thing that I have spared out on purpose. And I'm very eager to do so, because I think that will reveal so many things in that assassination that I think that is a summation of all my research there. Thank you very much for having me, Brett, and dear listeners, signing off, handing it over to Brett.
Thanks, Michael. Yep, we're looking forward to continuing next time in the series. Yeah, this is so much to cover, Michael. It just, I failed to be too much of a participant in this study because I really don't know much about it, and I'm learning. So thanks, Michael, for the time you take on doing the study and putting together all the research. And it's pretty painstaking work, and I appreciate that, and hope to catch up with everyone next time. Maranatha.